0 o'clock, Yuki Tsunoda's racing in Austria made people wonder even more if he'll keep his job with Red Bull. But this time, things are getting really serious. The Japanese driver came in dead last with 4 other drivers not even finishing the race. And his bad driving got him a 10-second punishment that made things even worse for him. 0:19. Did Tsunoda just seal his own fate to leave Red Bull? And if he's out, who's going to replace him now that Lindblad got his racing license through special rules? Red Bull had a terrible weekend at their home race in Austria. And looking at it this way, it's clear that they're probably going to be at the back of the pack if not for Verstappen. 0:36. Tsunoda let everyone down when it mattered most, both in the time trials and the actual race, making his chances of staying with Red Bull much smaller, not just for the 2026 season but for the rest of 2025 too. The harsh truth in the Austrian team is that they're going to try to find a replacement as soon as possible, with drivers like Hajar and Lindblad now being seriously considered for a move up next to Verstappen. 0:58. And this isn't just people guessing anymore. Things said by Helmut Marko are a clear sign of what's going to happen in the future here. When talking about Tsunoda's problems, the experienced Austrian said very clearly what his limits are, not being able to get used to the car. Explaining more about this, Helmut said, with his first set of tries, Tsunoda was still kind of close enough. 1:20, that would have been good enough for the final round of time trials. But when conditions changed, Yuki just has a much harder time adapting. Max can drive through those problems. But the main issue is that our car only works well in a very small range and is also extremely tricky at the limit. And this is never good news for the driver. If you want to fight for the top spots and keep your job, the last thing you'd want is for Marko to criticize how you drive. 1:42, at the end of the day, he's in charge of the young drivers that need to be moved up to Red Bull, and right now, he has 2 choices who have a lot to prove to the entire F1 world, Hajar and Lindblad. Both of the Racing Bulls drivers are currently doing better than Tsunoda in the driver rankings after the Austrian race, 2:01, so being 7th place in the driver rankings definitely doesn't look good for you. In the last 5 races, Tsunoda failed to make it to the final time trial round once, getting knocked out in the first round 3 times and second round 2 times. In such a tough world where starting position matters the most, I don't think Tsunoda has any chance of getting better positions if he drives like he did in Austria. 2:21. He made some questionable moves trying to pass both Stroll and Colapinto with the second one, spinning the Argentinian driver in turn 6 and getting Tsunoda a 10-second penalty. So, when Verstappen is out of the race because of bad luck, you really need the second car to be up there and getting points. 2:40, unfortunately for Red Bull. They've been given another wake-up call when it comes to a driver who isn't Max Verstappen. You have huge problems getting points with them. The things Tsunoda said about his recent struggles were pretty eye-opening too. He knows for sure that he's not at the level he used to be back in AlphaTauri, 2:59, but to hear him talk about this in public is a clear sign about the recent struggles that have surrounded the Japanese driver. Explaining more about the recent problems in Austria, Tsunoda said, "I am just not able to put it all together in the time trials. It doesn't happen all the time, but I'm just not able to do things properly in the time trials for several reasons, which is really frustrating." 3:17, I was expecting to make it to the final round. The car felt good and the first fast lap felt good, but somehow with this situation that I am in, I'm happy with my confidence and I'm sure that I'm going in the right direction. Max was having the same problems in the second round, but at least he knows this car and how to handle it. 3:34, I am not at the level where I can adjust completely during the lap or get the most out of the car, and it's not the level I was at with AlphaTauri. To make things worse, Tsunoda wasn't happy at all with his speed during the Austrian race either, saying that he has no idea what he's doing wrong, but the speed difference between where he is and where he needs to be is huge. 3:54. He also has no idea what else can be improved, and it's pretty much the reason that the team decided to get rid of Lawson after only 2 races. He showed no signs that he could get better with the RB21, and now that he's been part of Racing Bulls, he scored 12 points total and currently stands ahead of Yuki, 4-11. So from this point of view, you really have to ask yourself, is Red Bull really a step up compared to Racing Bulls? And if not, will Hajar be much better staying where he is rather than chasing glory and good performance in the unknown? So what does the future hold for Red Bull? It's pretty simple. You need to see what other drivers can do next to Verstappen, 431. Right now, the top choice for that job is Isack Hajar. But the Frenchman has been said to stay in Racing Bulls at least until the end of 2026 by his team boss Laurent Mekies. However, Laurent's wish is very unlikely to come true because we know how things work in Red Bull. You need to see whether the talent in Racing Bulls can be moved to the Austrian team as well, 452 so far. Both Lawson and Tsunoda have proven that Perez was right all along, but that doesn't have to be the case for drivers like Hajar and Lindled. The Frenchman said very clearly that he's going to say yes if the call comes from Helmut Marko or Christian Horner, even though he admitted he doesn't feel ready for the job just yet, 510, but given the fact that this is a chance that comes once in your lifetime, I really doubt you want to say no to it. Yes, it does look like a step down from this point of view. But with Max's future now being very uncertain, you have a special opportunity to be the leader of your team 1 year from now, 525. It's the perfect situation for both teams. Racing Bulls will also get a little bit of Lindled's driving in their car and maybe even for all of 2026 as well. Arvid is now forced to make a move up to F1 very soon. And the practice session in Silverstone proves that Red Bull is very serious about the young driver's future, 542. But before they bring him into the fire in their main team, it's very likely that Marko and Horner would want to see what he can do in an F1 car first, which is why Racing Bulls exists in the first place. So, if a move up of Hajar happens instead of Tsunoda, the seat in the Italian-based team will likely be taken by Lindled, 6 o'clock. So, Tsunoda will be without a seat for the next season. It's a cruel world that we live in, but at the end of the day, nobody forced this on Yuki. I don't blame him only for the bad performance. But this is the promotion he's been working hard towards in the past 5 years as part of AlphaTauri and Racing Bulls, and all of a sudden, he is not showing the performance that he needs in order to keep his job, 623. So, however it may be, we need to be asking some serious questions here. Red Bull's car improvements have been pretty questionable, and Max wasn't happy with how the car performed either. But at least he gets the car to the final time trial round and is still fighting up front. The expectations for his perfect teammate were to be around 0.3 of a second behind Max. Not out in the final round, 642. This is why Peter Windsor believes that Tsunoda's performance is really bad. As the F1 expert said, Yuki Tsunoda is the biggest disappointment really of the entire time trial session. On this track in a car that Verstappen is getting under 1 minute and 5 seconds. Tsunoda is doing a 1 minute 5 seconds and 3 milliseconds and not getting out of the first round. Absolutely terrible, 702. 1 minute he's got the car turning too much, and it's not turning enough because of the heat building up because of the way he drives. He is not using the front of the car anything like as well as Max Verstappen does. And I find it amazing that he doesn't realize that pretty obviously. And his engineers obviously, I don't know, either they've tried telling him, and he doesn't believe it or nobody understands it anyway. 723. Nevertheless, the situation for Tsunoda is going to get hot in the following time period. And if he doesn't start showing good performance soon, he'll likely be out of the team during the summer break. Despite the promises that we've gotten from Horner, the facts speak louder than words. Yuki's performance needs to get better or else he won't have a seat in Formula One anymore. 742. With all this in mind, do you think that Tsunoda should be out of Red Bull and give a chance to Hajar? And more importantly, if this does happen, do you think that Yuki would be out of a seat for good? Let us know in the comments below. And once you do that, make sure to click on the video that appears on your screen right now.